Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very exciting news for you. Ford Motors is returning back to India. Yes, in the year 2020, Ford actually stopped making its cars in India and they actually exited the Indian market. But now in the year 2024, Ford is planning to come back to India, and in fact, Ford has already posted a number of job listings on its official LinkedIn profile, and as well as they have actually filed a patent for its new endeavor that is going to be launched in the year 2025. So it is pretty much confirmed that Ford is planning to return back to the Indian market. Over the years, a number of car brands like Mitsubishi, like Chevrolet, like Opel have actually exited the Indian market, and none of them have actually returned back till date. Now Ford is going to break this trend. Ford is going to break this entire cycle by returning back and launching their cars again in India. This entire case basically raises three main questions. Number one, why exactly did Ford exit the Indian market in the very first place? Why did they exactly fail in the Indian market in the very first place? Number two, why exactly after failing in the initial phase is Ford coming back to India? And third one, what are going to be the business strategies that Ford will implement now to get back its position in the Indian market? In today's business case study by the B School, we are going to analyze exactly these three questions. So if you are a student of business, if you are interested in this entire industry, please watch this business case study till the end to get an insight about the Ford's operations in the next few months, in the next few years. Let us start off our business case study with the very first question, that why exactly did Ford exit the Indian market in the first place, and what were the blunders, what were the mistakes that it committed due to which the company failed in the Indian market. You see, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2015, 16 and 17, in the Indian car market, the segment of SUVs was actually picking up, and a number of Indian consumers were getting interested in the SUV segment of India. But if you closely notice the lineup of cars that Ford had back in the day, you'll notice that Ford only had a single SUV, that was Ford EcoSport. So that means that Ford was not planning to tap in on this major opportunity of increasing SUV market share in India. At that point of time, Ford only had Ford EcoSport in the entire SUV segment of India, and the primary focus of the company at that point of time was to compete in the small car segment, which basically Maruti and other players of the Indian market such as Tata actually dominated. So Ford was focusing on the smaller car market in India, which was already highly competitive and highly saturated, and the increasing segment of Indian car market at that point of time, which was the SUV market, Ford did not focus on that, due to which it lost a lot of market share in the Indian car industry. Another reason why Ford failed in the Indian car market back in the day was because of their poor financial planning, poor fundamentals. You see, ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, Ford actually anticipated that the Indian car industry is going to boom in the next few years, due to which they planned on installing another car manufacturing unit in India. They previously had already one manufacturing facility in India which was based out of Chennai, and they planned on installing another manufacturing unit to cope up with this increasing demand. If you guys closely look and study the second manufacturing plant that Ford built to cope up with the increasing demand of cars in India, you'll see that manufacturing plant was built on those standards which existed in the US and the UK markets, and those standards were actually not of India. Now, what do I mean by this? If you closely look at the manufacturing plants of US and UK, you'll find out that those manufacturing plants are built in such a way so that they can cope up with the harsh weather conditions, harsh winds and harsh windstorms that exist in the UK and the US markets. But actually in India, weather conditions and winds and windstorms are actually not that harsh. But Ford built and spent $1 billion to build its manufacturing plant based on the standards that existed in the US and the UK market, due to which the entire financial modeling of the second manufacturing plant was actually a very bad idea. The second manufacturing plant that Ford installed made the company bleed incredible amount of money and incur huge amount of losses, due to which the company actually had to face incredible amount of losses, and this was another reason why Ford exited the Indian market back in the day. Another major reason why Ford exited the Indian market was because of its huge operational costs. If you actually study the financials of the company and compare it with the financials of other competitive companies in the same segment, you'll notice that the average employee cost on the annual basis for Ford back in the day was around rupees 10 lakh per annum per employee. But if you compare the same cost of an employee with other competitors such as Tata, you'll notice that the cost of an employee for Tata per annum was actually 6 to 7 lakhs. It means that the employees of Ford were getting paid to a much higher extent, and due to which the operational costs of Ford were actually very high. Now the company was already incurring billions of dollars of losses due to its second manufacturing plant, and above that the company's fixed operational costs were also very high, due to which the company again had to face incredible amount of losses, which made the company exit the Indian market because there was not enough demand to cope up with this incredible amount of losses. Now these were some of the primary reasons why Ford, this incredible company, exited the Indian market in the very first place. Now the second part of the case study is based on the fact that why exactly is this company, after failing in the very first place, entering back to the Indian market. If you guys closely look and study the public sentiments, the consumer sentiments of Indian consumers towards this car brand Ford today, you'll notice that public sentiments, consumer sentiments are actually very good, and Indian consumers actually love and adore this brand Ford to a great extent even till today. This thing can also be proven by the fact that the resale value of Ford cars even today in India is actually very high. If you guys go on the internet and check out the resale value of Ford cars even today on these major websites, you'll notice that the Ford cars are actually getting sold at a very high price even today, which actually means that consumer demand is actually very high even today for the Ford cars in India. This simply means that the brand value of the company Ford, even after exiting the Indian market, is actually very high, and Indian consumers still adore the cars of Ford, and the company actually knows that, and this is one of the reasons why Ford is planning to come back to the Indian market. One of the other major reasons why company is planning to come back to India, why Ford is planning to come back to India, is basically to compensate the incredible amount of losses that the company has incurred due to the EV revolution in the West and the European countries. If you closely look at this EV revolution that has happened in the recent few years, you'll notice that a number of car companies, a number of car brands actually wanted to tap in on this revolution, and only a number of car brands were actually able to do so successfully, and Ford was not one of them. Due to this, company actually incurred huge amount of losses, wherein the company launched a number of cars, the company launched a number of car lineups in the EV segment in the West and the European countries, but the demand of the EV cars of Ford was not very high, due to which the company again suffered incredible amount of losses. Now to cope up with this incredible amount of losses that the company has incurred in the West and the European markets, company is seeing India as an alternative, because anyways India's economy at this point of time is growing. Further, the purchasing power of Indian consumers is also growing, and every brand wants to enter a growing market because it can anticipate a good demand in such a market. These are some of the few reasons why I feel that company is entering back to India. Now I want your suggestions and your insights and your analysis about this entire case study. What do you guys think? Will Ford be able to enter the Indian market back again with the same level that it had previously in the Indian market, or do you think that Ford will actually fail now if they enter the Indian market again? Do comment down your analysis and your insights about this entire case study and let me know. This case study was brought to you by the B School, your online business school. If you found the content useful and value driven, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so that you can get regular notifications of all of our business case study. This case study was brought to you by the B School, your online business school. I'll see you guys in another case study very soon. Till then, stay tuned, take care, bye bye.